Well, boys and girls, looks like we got yet another reveal. It's a Transformers Fan First Friday, and we got a preview of what is going to be happening on March 15th, 2021 with the Walmart Collector Con. Walmart's going to be showing off some of their future exclusives that they'll have in their store, and we got a little preview of just two of those coming from the War for Cybertron Trilogy line leading into that of the Kingdom. And these are interesting to say the least. We'll go through them, we'll discuss them, we'll explain what's going on, how they're good, how they're bad, and if you need them in your collection. So the first one we got here is the Transformers Generations War for Cybertron series inspired, and I use air quotes here because that's how they're listing them, Voyager Sparkless Seeker Battle 3-pack. This thing reminds me a lot of the Siege Hotlink War for Cybertron Trilogy 3-pack. It's your typical Tetrajet Seeker Voyager mold, whether it be Starscream, Thundercracker, or Skywarp, and two little Battle Masters included. Now, granted, the Hotlink had different Battle Masters, and it was the Hotlink character. This one is a Sparkless Seeker, so obviously going back to that whole zombie thing again. And it comes with two characters, that of Singe and the other one of Caliburst. Now, what's interesting about those choices, now they're probably being represented here as zombie Cybertronians, but even the original releases of these two characters, like to give an example in the case of, like, let's say Singe, right? He was in Wave 4 of Siege. Like, he was the one that was packed in with Rung as a battle master, like the end of the line, and extremely difficult to find in the secondary market. So this is kind of a, consolation in a lot of ways. If you couldn't get that version, you could get this version. Although it's a different color scheme, it's a little beat up, and at the end of the day, yeah, it's just the fire drive mold to begin with. But it's a different version, but it's of that specific character. So if you didn't get the Wave 4 one, which was really difficult, and in the case of Rung, we were lucky because he ended up in Earthrise, this is an opportunity. And it's kind of the same thing, too, when it relates to Caliburst, because he was a Wave 3 release. And also, some people didn't have that in retail. Wave 3 was not as bad as Wave 4, but also was not as plentiful for some people. So, yet again, another opportunity to pick up that character, even though at the end of the again, it's just the blowpipe mold from the Battle Master, so it's not like it's a unique mold. It's just that character, and I use air quotes here, character. But at the end of the day, these are all kind of represented and in story as, yet again, more of these zombies that we saw in the Siege TV series in the first chapter. So if you're excited to army build more zombies or get yet another Seeker Jet mold, never gonna die. Here we have it. The next one that's a little more interesting and is also probably going to give us a better outlook on what we're going to be expecting from our next chapter of the TV series. We have here the Transformers Generations War for Cybertron series inspired Voyager, Beast Wars Optimus Primal, and Rattrap. Now, what's going on here with the color schemes? There is slight differences between that of the Kingdom toys that are on the shelves right now. The Rattrap, and I want to keep in mind, all of these that we're discussing today, they clearly are still more of a, I want to say, CG Digi mock-up. The final product might be slightly different in coloring, whether it be brighter or darker. These really feel like these were done as CG mock-ups, but they will probably represent more or less the final product. But the Rattrap here, compared to, let's say, the actual Kingdom core class, we'll start with the robot mode because the alt mode does actually have some major differences. Robot mode really feels like they took the core class Rattrap and they washed out the filter. He, instead of it being the brighter oranges, is more of a almost like a duller skin color, if anything, on the oranges that he had before. Same thing, the grays are more muted. Not really much to mention. Even the gun, it's kind of the same story. When we get to the rat mode itself, there is differences there. Same thing, a lot of those colors are muted, including even like his rat feet is more of a whiter skin tone than a more peach skin color. but it's the tip of his nose that he has a white, I guess, fur color at the tip of his nose. Now, keep in mind, Rattrap in the original Beast Wars cartoon didn't have this white tip on his nose, and between both the original Kingdom one and this new one here, they still sport the actual nose itself is still pink, where Rattrap in the show had a black nose. So they didn't even kind of go for super show accuracy. But what this probably represents, and judging from previous Kingdom toys up to this point, not Kingdom toys, War for Cybertron Trilogy Netflix series toys up to this point, this probably represents how Rattrap is going to look in the series, and also probably confirms he's going to be in the series. I mean, it's kind of a given, but at least adds a little more credence to that. Hey, there's a toy here. He's probably going to be in the series. And the least exciting of the two is that of Optimus Primal in this 2-pack. Literally almost looks like the same toy. And the only difference that I could really see is the original Kingdom Voyager scale one had blue feet in the robot mode. This one has gray feet, so technically more show accurate. If anything, I almost feel like it was something done on purpose, because when we look at the Kingdom one that we got before, it had more of a lighter tone on the monkey face, a lighter gray, and the blue feet for the robot mode, where when you look at the Netflix version here, we have the gray feet with the robot mode, which would be technically slightly better and more show accurate, although it was more of a white with the Beast Wars cartoon, and a darker gray on the monkey face or the gorilla face, which is actually also more in tune with how the old Beast Wars cartoon was. Again, this is probably going to be the representation color-wise, how he's going to look in the Netflix series. So if you want something that's going to probably be show accurate to how the Netflix series looks, these are probably going to be the way to go. Historically, this is what we've seen in the past with the two previous waves, if you will, of Netflix series Walmart War for Cybertron figures. Even whether it be Megatron or whether it be Sideswipe, any of the oddball characters, they just had those little subtle detail changes from their Siege or Earthrise molds, but made to look exactly how the deco and color scheme was in the TV series or the Netflix series. So, interesting stuff. There is little differences. It now kind of makes us go, okay, what's going on with that Cheetor that we saw before? I guess maybe the Cheetor is going to be something too that'll be a regular deluxe standalone. Probably is going to give us, again, also an indication of how Cheetor is going to look. There's a lot more going on here than what we see here on the surface. We're probably going to learn all of this, and we're going to have this conversation when we get to March 15th. And literally just a couple days from now, March 15th is going to be Monday. Right now we are the 12th on a Friday. So in a couple of days, we'll probably know everything, and we'll probably see completely what Walmart is going to be planning for the War for Cybertron Trilogy series. Still interesting. And again, people are going like, this is kind of silly because the stuff's already on shelves. Yes, you are correct, but chances are by the time the Kingdom series comes out in July, maybe some of that Wave 1 product of Rattrap and Optimus Primal won't be kicking around anymore. So it'll give people an opportunity to pick those characters up again if they didn't get the molds. And the flip side of it is if they really like the TV show and they want that color scheme representation, it will be on the shelves. As it partakes to the Seeker Jets, I mean, that whole stuff's been out of rotation for a while now. So either way, guys, let me know what you think about this. We're going to obviously learn way more in a couple of days, but at least it gives us a strong indication, at least visually, and who's going to be in our TV series coming up very soon in Netflix's Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom.